Welcome to the second video. This is Ivan Lazar. By this stage you would have already set up your Fusion, and I've already opened my Fusion into the file setting up, um, and right now we're going to do a sketch followed by a press pull. Right now, before I start every um, object that I'm going to create, I will normally go ahead and assemble a component. So we're going to click on that assemble, new component, and we're going to call this base, right? And click on OK. And you find just at the project browser right up here that new component comes up as a base. So making sure that that's the component that is selected as in the active component, we're now going to create a sketch. Click on the sketch icon, right? And you're given the three planes that come up. So this X plane is typically the one that's horizontal, and then there are two vertical planes. But because this is a base that we're going to create, we're going to select the horizontal plane, and you can see that that's grayed out. So when the mouse is over it, that's grayed out. So let's select the plane. And once you select it, what's going to happen is the screen, what's horizontal is going to be now placed up on your screen in a 2D format. All right, there you go. Then you saw that happen. So that's now come up on that. Now to pan around the screen, there are a few ways you can pan around. You can either zoom in and zoom out at different locations where the mouse is, and you can go back and forth that way. You can alternatively click on this hand icon right at the bottom. Clicking on the hand lets you pan, and you could actually just move the screen where you want it to. To disengage the pan function, you're going to hit the escape on your keyboard, and that releases your mouse to be able to do anything else. Okay, we're going to sketch. So I'm going to start off by sketching a rectangle. So we're going to click on that rectangle. We're just going to use a 2-point rectangle, so that's fine. We're going to click on that. We're going to anchor one edge right at the origin. Now for the height, I'm going to do 65 for the height. So you're just going to type that there. Hit the tab key, and we're going to do a length of, I do believe we are doing a length of 150. Oops, something changed. That's because I moved my mouse. So let's do that again. So that's 60. Oops, wrong screen. Yep, 65. All right, that didn't go according to plan because I changed screens, but I'm going to dimension that to get hold of the length. So I'm going to hit that, followed by, and I'm going to do that as 150 and enter. All right. At the end of this process, you will then have a rectangle that's 65 by 150, and you can see from my cursor that it is still in the dimension mode. So I'm going to hit escape to release that. Zooming into the screen, you will now be able to see that we can get a clearer view of what's on the screen. Right. So at this stage, I am going to do some finger joints, right? And we're going to select a 2-point rectangle again. So we're going to do a couple of finger joints. I'm going to do one right here, and I'm going to click that. Okay, so for the height, I'm going to type in thickness. So as soon as I type the T, you can see that it comes up with this thickness icon, which we had set up earlier in the first video. Click on thickness, and straight away we can set up the thickness. Hit the tab function, and then type 30, and that sets the length, and then hit enter. Right, so we've set up that rectangle right there in the corner. We're going to do another one. Now, be careful at this stage not to lock it into the center. And how do you know it's the center? If you slide the mouse right along the bottom edge, you will see that the mouse icon changes from a cross, or rather it gives you another triangle right above the cross. So that's the center of that bottom line. And if you anchor the rectangle to the center, it won't move after that, and that creates a problem for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that it does not have that rectangle, and I'm going to place the first corner at anywhere along the line, just not the center. All right, the first one, and we're going to repeat that process. Type T for thickness again, followed by tab, and we're going to do a 30. Enter again. Going to repeat the same process, but this time on that right edge. Same thing, thickness to get that dimension, followed by tab, and then do a 30. Enter. We're going to repeat that process again right at the top as well. So right for the top, we're going to do again a 2-point rectangle. Let's get it to the top left corner. We're just going to make sure that aligns. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more so you can see that a little bit clearer. And that's aligned, making sure that's the thickness, followed by a tab, and we're going to make that 30 as well. Enter. Repeat that process again. Again, taking care not to be at the center of that line. Right, thickness, followed by a tab, and then 30. We're going to repeat that one last time on that right hand corner, the top corner. That's going to be thickness. Oh, that's gone off a little bit off my screen, so let's just zoom out a little bit. All right, there we go. So let's do it again. Thickness, perfect. Tab, and 30. Enter. All right, so we have now created 6 of the fingers, right? And you can see how they are aligned. Now, obviously, right at this point in time, they kind of seem haphazardly placed. Perhaps just the center ones are haphazardly placed. So we're going to dimension so that we can get them to the correct locations. So click on the dimension tool. So with the dimension tool, we're going to click on that edge, followed by that edge, and click one more time, type in a 30, followed by an enter. And straight away you can see that it's been placed. We're going to repeat that again on the bottom edge. So again, click on that step, followed by the next one, and again click one more time, and then type in a 30, followed by enter. And so you see that once you dimension it, the tabs move, right? And you actually have got 30 mils of space between each of the tab. All right, now this tab here is not dimensioned, but because we have dimensioned everything else, you can't actually specify a dimension for this, but you could always measure what it is. And to measure it, you're going to do the exact same process. You're going to click on that edge, followed by that one, move it up, and click. Now, at this point in time, Fusion would tell you that it's an over-constrained sketch, simply because with all the dimensions I put in, you can't actually specify a new dimension for this. It would just be over-constrained. But we can always accept a driven dimension, meaning it's just a measurement of what it is. So I'm going to click on Create Driven, and you can see that Fusion tells you that that's 30. Now, the fact that it's in brackets indicates to you that, hey, this is actually in a driven dimension, meaning that you're not specifying it, it's just giving you a measurement. So at this point in time, I'm just going to hit Escape to come out of that dimension action. And you're going to zoom out just a tad to show you the entire image, right? So this is what we have. Now, any point in time, you can always click and drag any of the dimension lines. Now, be careful. The dimension lines are not the lines of the object, right? Sometimes people mistake them, but they are not. They're just lines that tell you the measurement, right? So I'm just positioning all of them a little bit neater so that it's easily referenced. And there we go. All right, we have drawn in 6 tabs, right, which we are now going to remove the tab, yes? Now, how do you know that it all works? Because when you move the mouse over the sketch, you find that the color of the sketch changes. So you can tell that it is actually a proper sketch, right? You can see that that's been sketched properly. Now, there are occasions where Fusion does not pick up the sketch like this, and where that does not happen, you could actually do a trim. So that's a trim, and you can trim away the edges that you don't want, right? But this one's picked up really well, so we're just going to leave that. If you find that Fusion is picking up different sections, you can trim them off at different points, right? Give that a go if that works, but I'm just going to go ahead with this. Now this is the base, and that's nicely done. I'm pretty happy with this. So let's go and finish the sketch. All right. Once you finish the sketch, we're going to go to that icon there and click on the home button. Clicking on the home button orientates it in a nice view. And we now need to do a press pull. So what press pull does is that it creates a 2D drawing into a 3D object. So hit a press pull, and that arrow tells you the direction in which it's going to do a press pull. So you realize that what clicking the home button did is to put it into a 3D orientation, so that when we click on that press pull, and we can actually know which way that arrow is going to go. So we are trying to extrude it in the upward direction, and we're going to put the distance right at this edge. I'm going to type in thickness, right? That's already been set up in the first video. Type in thickness. Make sure that operation says a new body, and then click OK. And there you go, right? You have sketched the base, and you have extruded the base into a 3D object. So we're going to save this just before we finish this second step. We're going to save this. So we're going to go to File. Now I'm going to do a Save As. And if you want to keep the same file name, you just do a save. But I'm going to do a Save As because it's a set of training videos, and I do want to make sure that we do get them into separate videos. Location is training videos. I'm just going to pull that down just to make sure that it stays in training videos. And let's do video number 2, and I'm just going to put base, okay, and hitting the save button. So once that's saved, that new file name comes up. But again, you don't have to key in a new file name. If you just do a file save, it's perfectly fine just continuing with the same file name. Fusion itself actually has got version revisions, which they allow. So you could actually go back to different versions of the same file that you have saved previously. But I prefer different file name just so that I can extract the files a little bit easier for training videos, which I'm going to upload onto my OneNote. So I'm going to do them as a different image. So we've come to the end of the second video, and if you want to save your work, and I'll see you again shortly.